This is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. Governor Andy Beshear is holding what is believed to be his last regularly scheduled COVID-19 briefing. You can watch that on our second channel, HNI, or the WYMT Facebook page. But first at 4, after a cold, snowy weekend, temperatures are going up again this week. State and national parks are gearing up for the guests the warm weather will bring in. WYMT's Jade Saylor is at the Breaks Interstate Park to see how they're preparing.
Here at the Breaks, crews are already beginning to prepare for what they anticipate will be the busiest summer since the pandemic began. Park Superintendent Austin Bradley says though some things were shut down to the public over the past 2 years, they have tried to keep these attractions in operation. So when the time comes, things will still run smoothly for new guests.
Some of our facilities have been idled since the beginning of the pandemic, so we have taken measures over the last couple of years to, keep them operating kind of sporadically to make sure that they didn't just completely deteriorate.
While seen as a good thing by most, a spike in visitors also comes with a host of concerns around how to keep the park and habitats clean and safe for both visitors and Mother Nature. Bradley tells me people do not need to worry too much, saying they have a plan in place to keep the great outdoors as fun and safe as possible. Jade Saylor, WYMT Mountain News.
A beautiful backdrop there. The Breaks is just one of several parks beginning summer preparations early due to the number of expected visitors this year. Many people have dreams of having their stories heard, yet very few ever get the opportunity to see that happen on a large scale. That's not the case for two Knott Countyans who are getting the chance to have their voices heard in a big way. The work of Knott County Central English teacher Kathy Conley and former Knott County Central student Brianna Parks will be featured in the upcoming book Dear Freedom Rider, a follow-up to the #1 New York Times bestseller book, The Freedom Rider's Diary, which inspired the film Freedom Riders.
I'm super excited to be able to offer this opportunity to a student and her family, and I want to do more. I want to take this and go with it, and I want to give more students more opportunities all over Knott County and all over Eastern Kentucky.
The Dear Freedom Rider book features anonymous entries from 50 student authors from across the globe and responses to those entries by some of the Freedom Rider teachers. Well, we want to remind you about Hoops Hysteria on WYMT.com and your chance to play our NCAA tournament bracket game. You can compete against some of the WYMT staff and also win a 55-inch smart TV, a PlayStation 5, and 2 recliners. A $1 million prize will be awarded nationally if someone correctly picks all 63 games. You have until 15 minutes before the first game on March 17th to sign up.
Well, I've already made my picks, and trust me, they're not great. In any case, what is great, as you saw in Jade's backdrop there, the weather today has been fantastic, not just at Breaks Interstate Park, but also as we head out to London Corbin Airport. Not a cloud in the sky, a beautiful sunny afternoon. We're back into the 60s. 2 days ago, we struggled to get into the 30s for daytime highs, and now we're back in the 60s. Downtown Whitesburg, yeah, we've still got a little bit of snow trying to hang on to the pavement there, but it's continuing to melt as we see temperatures back into the 60s, mid-60s as you head out toward the Cumberland Valley. 66 Monticello, 64 Somerset, even 65 up into Irvin. Further to the east, yeah, a touch cooler, into the low 60s and even a few upper 50s as you head out toward Logan. And we're in the mid-50s in our higher elevations. Pine Mountain at 56 and Wise at 54. You could thank southerly winds, 5 to 10 miles per hour out there. A little bit higher at times. Sustained winds right now 15 miles per hour into Monticello. Either way, we've gotten the high clouds from earlier on out of here, and it's absolutely beautiful here on this first work day of daylight saving time. So sunset a little bit later tonight, but look out to the west. Yeah, we've got a few showers trying to approach the western part of the state, and that's going to be a theme as we head towards the middle of the week. We'll get to that in due time. Just keep that WYMT weather app handy, though, tonight, because as you open it up and see our forecast, I think you're going to like it. With temperatures a little bit chilly down into the 40s overnight, but Otherwise, we're looking dry. I'll have the very latest on when a few showers could return to the forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. Yesterday marked 2 years since Breonna Taylor was killed in Louisville as part of an LMPD drug raid on her apartment. People gathered for a peace rally to mark the anniversary, a solemn moment as many, including Taylor's family, say they are still seeking justice for her death. To them, justice means the officers there that night will, at some point, be indicted and charged.
It's always so far off in our brains, oh, that's somebody else. But when it's your family, when you've ate with this family, when you've cried with them, when you've prayed with them, names on t-shirts aren't foreign. It's you.
On March 3rd, former LMPD Detective Brett Hankinson was found not guilty by a jury for wanton endangerment charges stemming from that incident. The other officers involved faced no charges in relation to the incident. As we pass the 2-year mark of COVID-19 officially being declared a pandemic, COVID cases continue to fall across the United States. However, that's not the case overseas. A surge of new infections in China is prompting another round of lockdowns in some cities, and the World Health Organization is warning the war in Ukraine could worsen the pandemic. CBS's Danya Backus has the latest from Los Angeles.
People are lining up for COVID tests in northeast China's Jilin province as the area experiences its largest outbreak since the pandemic started. The Omicron variant is fueling the spike, forcing the population of 9 million into lockdown. The parts of Beijing are also under lockdown. This shop owner said she's not worried because she's boosted and said as long as people are cautious, there's no need to be scared. The World Health Organization says the war in Ukraine could make the pandemic worse as people flee and fan across Europe. As the planet passed the 2-year mark of the pandemic last week, the organization's head issued a warning.
The pandemic is far from over, and it will not be over anywhere until it's over everywhere.
Here in the U.S., cases of COVID have plunged to the lowest level in 8 months. Today, California lifted its mandatory mask requirement in schools, leaving the decision to local districts.
I mean, we gotta live life, we gotta go on.
98% of Americans are now living in low or medium COVID risk areas, and more than 81% are vaccinated with at least 1 dose. On Sunday, the CEO of vaccine maker Pfizer said on Face the Nation that a 4th dose is necessary.
The protection that you are getting from the third, it is good enough. Actually quite good for hospitalizations and deaths. It's not that good against infections, but doesn't last very long.
Former President Obama tweeted that he's tested positive and is experiencing a scratchy throat but is feeling fine. Michelle Obama tested negative. Obama is urging Americans to get vaccinated if they haven't already. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And let's head over to Wall Street now on this Monday. The Dow closes up just about 1 point, so virtually unchanged. Uber trips may cost a little more thanks to those current gas prices. Starting Wednesday, the ride-sharing company will add a temporary surcharge to help offset the extra cost. Users will pay up to 55 cents more for each trip and up to 45 cents more for each Uber Eats order. The company says all the money will go directly to drivers. Some good news on the gas price front, though, as oil prices in the U.S. returned to two-digit territory. The cost of a barrel fell more than 8%, down to $99.76. It's the first time oil has dipped below $100 since March 1st. Traders say Monday's drop came largely from COVID-19 lockdowns in China and possible progress in the talks between Ukraine and Russia. Analysts say this sell-off may lessen fears of an energy-based recession in the U.S., and if it continues, commuters may see prices at the pump ease some. Fighting on the ground is getting closer to the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv, with all eyes on another round of direct talks between Ukraine and Russia. While both sides have reported progress, tensions remain high as a weekend Russian airstrike hit a key military base in western Ukraine, killing at least 35. The base is a hub for moving military aid and sits about 15 miles from the border of Poland, a NATO member.
Russia is really getting desperate, right, with not only this action to try to interdict the supply routes, but also, with this kind of, trying to lay the groundwork for maybe the use of chemical weapons, which is concerning.
A U.S. official says Russia has appealed to China for support, including the use of military equipment to use as the invasion of Ukraine intensifies. Russia and China deny those reports. Still to come on First at 4, as the Russian invasion presses on, many Ukrainian cities are scrambling to stow away, wrap up, and fortify as many monuments and art collections as possible.
And it's starting to feel more like spring out there. I've got the latest on warmer temperatures and potentially the return of showers on the way.
Morgan & Morgan, the fee is free. You don't pay us anything unless we win your case.